Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us again today. On this day, we are going to be diving into another topic today that is, interesting. That we believe is an interesting topic. All right. And this is Olu, and you're
Adela.
all right. Um. So we were in a gathering recently, and a topic came up like, what are some things that you should or should not tell your spouse, right? There are some things that you should not tell your spouse. Well, I'm sure some people are wondering, oh, I tell my spouse everything. I was talking with a group of friends a couple of years ago, and that friend of mine said, oh, I tell my wife everything, everything. And there was another elderly person in our midst that was trying to correct um, him and trying to just give him a different perspective, that there are some things you don't tell your spouse. So let's talk about those things on this show today. Adiola, what are those things that you have not told me, or that you believe, a spouse should not tell their spouse?
Well, I don't think I hide anything from you. We literally speak about everything, but there are some things that I will not share with you.
Hmm.
That is an interesting one. There are some things I will not share with you. For instance, if someone comes to me and shares something with me in private,
Hmm.
something very, very confidential, I
Hmm.
will not share with you.
Oh, I see.
I will not share with you if the person is not asking me for external advice. Like
Okay.
if the person is not saying, would you, what do you think? Do you, do you think, or would you want to ask your husband about his
Oh, I see.
perspective or as well?
Hmm.
So if that person is not directly asking me to ask you,
Mm.
even though the information is confidential, there's still a way for me to ask you without necessarily giving out the information, right?
Okay.
So if the person did not tell me to ask you, I will not tell you anything about that. Or if the person confides in me and says not to tell you,
Mm.
I don't think it is good for me to share that information with you.
I see. Well,
Yeah.
let's try to break it down. So someone comes to you and say they're going through this or whatever confidential information they're trying to share,
Hmm.
and because they confide in you, right? I mean, they did not go on radio just to tell
Broadcast.
everybody, right? They're just trying to have a one-on-one or a private conversation.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I do agree, in such instance, you don't share such conversation with me. And it's important for our viewers to understand the reason, because um, if you share such information with me, and for whatever reason the person get to know that you've shared that information with me, that's break
Bridge of
the
trust.
breach of trust. I mean, it's a breach right there.
Breach,
So
yeah.
you don't want to, and then of course that could tarnish your image or your relationship with
Yes,
that
yes,
person.
yes.
So yes, you're building your family, you're building, good relationship with your spouse, and you just also understand that you also have external relationship that you have to protect as well.
Protect,
So it's not
yes.
just relationship with your spouse or with your children. Yeah, speaking of children, so there are, things that, you know, one child will tell their mom or their dad and would say, well, I don't want my
Daddy to
dad,
hear about
I
it.
don't want mommy to hear about it. Is it proper to, you know, keep confidentiality at that level?
Well, when it comes to children, parenting, and all that, I think parenting parenting is a shared responsibility.
Mm,
So, there are times when you have to put your foot down, and the child is saying that don't share with daddy or don't share with mommy. In
mm,
that case, I would. It depends on the sensitivity. Even with the sensitivity, I will still share,
yeah.
because this is regarding another soul, another life that I'm responsible for, that my husband is also responsible for. So, in that regard, I will share because we are both responsible for that child.
For that child.
But if it is someone coming from the someone who is not nuclear to the family, like a
Hmm.
friend
Hmm.
or a co-worker, confides in me and says not to share, that is, I think, that is slightly different.
That's
I will
different.
not share.
That's
But a
different.
child that we are both responsible for, we have to share.
That's
Because
right.
down the line, you don't want to put your hand in your mouth and say, how I
I wish,
wish
yeah.
I should have shared this with my
With the
partner,
husband,
with my
yeah.
husband, or with my wife. So in that area, I will share. I will share with my spouse because we are both responsible for making sure that the child lives the kind of life that he's supposed to live.
So let's try to break it, in another dimension. So we're not supposed to share things about external party. Someone told me these. We also believe that there really should not be anything that the spouse
Hmm.
will keep from the other spouse, as it pertains to their relationship,
Right.
right? As it pertains to, just like you said, their children, their nuclear family. Of course, there could be other things as it pertains to, you know, the extended, yeah, when I say extended family now, third
Outside the
party,
nuclear
yeah,
family.
outside, yes, outside of the nuclear family,
And so the nuclear family is the father, the
the
mother,
mother,
and
the
the
children,
children.
yeah, right. So there may be some things that, okay, well, it's really a third party. A third party is anybody outside of, just the definition that we just
Mhm.
gave.
Before you go on, I'll actually like to hear other people's perspective
Hmm.
about sharing confidential information. So, guys, please leave a comment. Leave us comment in the conversation. Let this conversation go on.
Keep
Leave a
going, yeah.
comment in the chat and let us know what do you think about sharing information with private confidential information with other people.
Yeah, and I agree with you because it's breach, the person's trust, and it, and I also think that if you are at the end of your wit when it comes to that knowledge area,
Mm-hmm.
you can research about that thing, right? About that topic, that thing that the person had just confided. You can research, and part of your research could also be engaging your spouse. Now, anonymously, right? You don't necessarily have to um, disclose the
Mention or
person's
disclose.
identity. You just, again, it's part of your
It depends. I think it
information
also
search.
depends on the kind of information that the third party is seeking.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
in a way where you should find the information in such a way that your spouse would not know that you're talking about
that
so
this
and so
person,
person,
yes.
right? You don't want the person to add 1 plus 1, make it equals to 2 and say, okay. And
Hmm.
then, because what that does is, for that person that you have shared the information with that should not have heard information, the next time that person see that third party, the person will begin to add the 1 plus 1. Oh, look at
Mm,
this. Oh, this is the
yeah.
person. And the person's attitude. I mean, let me just break it down. My attitude, of course, I don't have a tendency to do that, but we're all human. My attitude then will now start, oh, this is the person she was
Because you
talking
have
about.
formed it in
Because
you
you formed
formed
it in
it,
your,
yeah.
subconscious
Subconscious.
mind. So that's why it's important that, of course, if you now need to find that information, try as much as possible to
Anonymize it.
anonymize it,
Yeah.
remove anything that could trace back to the person. But the first thing is keep that information confidential. Let me ask you, what are some exceptions to this rule? Are there any exception at all?
So when you say exceptions, what do you?
Exception to, oh, well,
Because I
I
think we already
absolutely
we already
must
talked
tell my
about it.
husband, yeah, or tell my wife, or tell somebody else about this thing that this person had just shared with me.
Why would you? Why would you want to do that?
Okay, good. So, in my
Because
mind,
the person comes to me with a confidential information.
yeah.
Why am I eager
Very
to
good.
want to share
That's a very
with
good
someone
question.
else?
That's a very good question. I give an exception if it's a life-threatening situation. Like the
Okay.
person comes to you and say, "My husband, pull up a gun at me last night, or he, almost killed me last night,
Mm.
and and we're having this bad fight. We're always having this bad fight, and he told me, and he's been drinking, or he's been having this attitude, and he's about to kill me, and I'm confiding in you. Please don't tell anybody else." Of course,
Um,
that's a very serious situation.
that's a very serious. So that
Yeah,
in my head, I'm thinking you're in a near that situation,
yeah,
and you're telling me not to share with someone else.
yeah.
I will hold myself responsible if anything bad
If
happens
anything
to
bad
you.
happened to the
So in that
person.
situation, I will seek external. I mean, I would definitely share with my husband. I'm like, this person is feeling this way, or maybe not tell you the person's name,
Hmm.
just share with you and say, I have someone who is going through so and so.
Hmm.
I think the person needs to reach out to for
Yeah.
professional help. One,
Yes.
professional help, and call 911. Maybe the person doesn't want to call 911. How can I help this person?
Hmm.
So I don't know.
Or, it could be another scenario. I'm just playing,
Mm-hmm.
God's advocate here. Another scenario,
Mm-hmm.
like the person is have some suicidal thought and say, please don't tell your husband. I don't want it to look at me like it. Please don't tell anybody. I'm
Mm.
just sharing with you. Of course, you're not a psychologist. You're not a
Yeah, I'm not.
professional person, right? Yes,
Yeah.
the person is sharing that information with you, but the fact that the person is sharing that information with you, the person should also trust you with
Enough.
enough with how you manage that information to be able to help them. Because the whole essence of the person, opening their mouth to even share with you is they trust you to be able to
To
do
help.
something
So
or help them.
in that regard, what I will do is I will help. What I would do to help that person
Hmm.
is to help them navigate that situation by seeking for professional help.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I.
Professional help is
Yes,
needed in that.
professional help is what I'm going to help the person. So there are different platforms, there are different organizations that can help such individuals.
That's right.
So that is definitely the route I'm gonna
The
take.
route.
Since the person has already said not to share with definitely with my husband or with someone else,
Yeah.
what I can do in that area is to help the person by helping them to actually schedule the professional help, you know, and not just saying, oh, let's do this. No, help them to schedule it and execute that plan out.
And be their
Yes, and
accountability
be there
person,
always checking in and
right, to
making sure
check
that
in.
they are fine and they are following up with the professional.
So again, we'd like to make sure that we're very clear when it comes to a life-threatening situation. Um, confidentiality is,
Key.
well, it's key, but we're gonna have to rule out some level of
Of
privacy when it
yeah,
comes to life threat because you
yes.
don't want to bite your finger afterwards. The person have killed themselves or somebody else have killed the person. You don't
Mm,
want to be that person. You want to make sure that you reach out. If someone has reached out to you, confided in you, it doesn't even have to be your spouse. If someone has confided in you that they are going through this life-threatening situation, you must reach out to professional help, professional support system that can be able to take action. You don't just want to keep that information to yourself. I would like to touch on two more things, right?
mm-hmm,
Number one, I believe that this confidentiality should also extend to friend circle, right?
mm,
So,
that
you
one.
have you're in a circle of friend of 5 or 10 people, or and one friend confide in you and just tell you certain things that should not go out, to the group.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I believe that confidentiality should also extend to that because if friend B doesn't need to know what friend C told you,
Yeah.
then then it should,
Yes, I agree with you. So
yeah,
in security, in cybersecurity, there's something that is called
needs
need
to
to
know.
know.
Yeah,
So if they don't need to know and the person confided in you,
yeah.
there's no need to share.
There's no need to share.
Yes, you're a group of friends, you're in a circle, you're tight and all that. But if the person has told you not to share, don't share.
That's right.
Keep your mouth.
Shield. All
Yes.
right. All right.
And
That's
it takes a level of
maturity. Hmm.
maturity and mindset to help you navigate that kind of situation.
That's an important one.
Yes.
That's an important one. So I like to, my final one on this one
Mhm.
is, someone said to me many, many years ago, many years ago, an elderly person said, "Oh, I can never let my husband know how much I'm earning." Right? Oh, why does he want to know how much I'm earning? Oh no, my money
It's
is,
my money.
my money. Of course, women will always say, but your money
It's
is
our
our money. So,
money.
i- is it advisable for spouse to keep that information from, their spouse? I mean, what exactly is what exactly is the purpose of keeping that information?
Oh, that's a very good question.
Yeah.
I think let's look at it from this angle.
Mm-hmm.
Why is the person trying to hide that kind of information? So there are so many things that goes into that.
Mm,
The background that the person grew up from,
mm-hmm.
the environment, and all those things, goes into determining how that kind of person might, make decisions.
Mm,
So what did the person see going up? Maybe the person saw how the parents also were, mom, maybe the mom was always, keeping money here.
mm,
Don't tell your daddy I made this money.
mm,
Or the father is always saying, don't tell your mommy I made this kind of money. Just keep your mouth shut.
mm,
So if there's a kind of secrecy around that growing up, most likely the person will want to continue in that track.
mm,
But I don't think it makes sense if you say you're in a partnership with someone and you're hiding things that can help the person, both of you, to make more impact. So
mm.
if I'm making money as a wife, my husband is also making money. We're supposed to work together. So yes, I know what everybody says in the world is my the woman will say my money is my money, my husband's money is our money. It shouldn't be that way. I come from that school of thought that says when two people come together, um, so I'm making 10,000 and I'm going to trace it back to the scriptures. It says one would chase 1,000
Mm-hmm.
and two would chase
10,000.
tens
Yeah.
of
Tens of thousands,
tens of
actually.
thousands.
Yeah.
So just imagine you pulling resources together. I'm so big on collaboration. You just imagine you pulling that resources together. I mean, those resources together and making much more impact with the resources that you have pulled together, and not just saying my money is my money and keeping your own money. What the money you're keeping, what are you even using it for? Are you
Mm,
using it for something that is beneficial to yourself alone, or you're using it to benefit other people?
mm.
So just imagine you pulling the resources together and making much more impact with those
With the
resources.
results. That's a
Yeah.
very fantastic one. And I would also like to touch on, the person's background. I mean, I'm not saying in the scenario that I said, the particular person, I'm saying whoever is trying to keep that information from their spouse, we also have to trace it to the background, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
And we all don't have control over our background.
No.
No one have control over, how, the environment that you grow up, but you have control over where you are right now to make change in your future. You have control over, how you, the environment that you are creating, not just for yourself, for the people in your community. In your community can be for your children, your nuclear family, your extended family. You may not have control over how, the things were done before, but let's retrain ourselves, because if we don't, then that person saying, "Oh, I'm never going to tell my husband how much I earn." Imagine that person has a child, and then the child will have that mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, never tell your spouse, and then that person's spouse. And so we just
Unlearning,
continue.
unlearning. It's a
Yeah.
process
So
of
so
unlearning.
we have to unlearn.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
we have to learn, bad thing, and the person may not see it as a bad thing, right? But you
Yes.
have to look at it as, is this thing helping my relationship with that other person, with my partner, right? If it's obviously secrecy is never going to help you. I think we shared the video of that person who did not allow his wife to work and
Mm.
end up dying, and his
And
brother.
we'll put a link. We'll
We'll
put
put
a
a
link.
link, yeah,
Yeah.
put a
So in
link,
case you want to watch it.
somewhere, so that you can.
Yeah.
And that person died, and then the brother is the next of kin, and all of that. So yeah, no secrecy. We recommend, and then of course, when it comes to life-threatening situation, that someone else has confided in you, please extend help to by reaching out to professionals that can help that person, so that the person would not kill themselves or would not, you
Make
know,
the bad
make a bad
choices.
decision. Certain. Do you want to wrap it up for us today?
Yeah, I think we've done justice
Hmm.
to this particular discussion, but I would like to hear other people's perspective about secrecy and confidentiality
Yeah,
when people give you information. So
that's
please leave a
right.
comment and let us know what you think. And yeah, that's
Yep,
it.
that's it. That's a wrap. Thank you very much.
Thank
Please,
you, everyone.
well, you want to tell them to like and subscribe, and
Yes, like, share, and subscribe. We love you so much. Thank you guys for following
thank
us
you.
and for keeping this going.
All righty.
See you next time.
Bye
Bye.
bye.